Okay. Try that again if you want. All right. Kids, today I have a very special story about tzedaka and the great zchut of giving tzedaka. We're now standing during the 9 days. We're told during the 9 days we have to increase in our mitzvot, specifically in the mitzvah of tzedaka. Tzedaka tatzil. Tzedaka always saves a person. And it's a great mitzvah to always keep, especially today is Zayin Menachem Av, the 7th day of the month of Av. It was the day when the Bet HaMikdash stood, that the enemies of the Jews entered the Bet HaMikdash. It took them 3 weeks from the time they broke into Yerushalayim to the time that they actually destroyed the Bet HaMikdash. But today, Zayin Menachem Av, is the day that the Bet HaMikdash got broken into, where the enemies of the Jews got into the Bet HaMikdash. So, we increase in mitzvot, and specifically in the mitzvah of tzedaka. So, there was a very great tzaddik, a very great rabbi. His name was the Maggid of Mezrich. He's part of our Hero series. Anybody has the card of the Maggid of Mezrich? Yeah. Good job. We don't have a picture of him. We only have a picture of his Bet HaChaim. But okay, good job. I think a number of you have it. Excellent. Let's see if anybody else can get it maybe today. So the Maggid of Mezrich was a big Hasidish Rebbe. And people would come to him for brachot and for blessings. And one day, Levi comes to him and he says, Rebbe, please help me. I'm in desperate need of money. My daughter is of marriageable age and she's getting to get her married. But in order to get her married, I need 2,000 golden rubles. And I really don't have anywhere near that. So the Maggid of Mezrich asks him, he says, well, Levi, okay, how much money do you have? And he says, Rebbe, all I have is 1 ruble. 1 regular ruble. That's it. Just one ruble is like $1, if that even. Wasn't worth much, or maybe worth 25 cents, very little. And he says, that's all I have. So the rabbi says to him, don't worry, go out, and the first thing you can buy for 1 ruble, buy that. And Levi thought, whoa, how would that help if I buy something for 1 ruble? But you know what? If the Rebbe, the Maggid of Mezrich, said I should do it, I'll do it. Off he goes, very confident, with his 1 ruble, having no idea how his 1 ruble will turn into 2,000 golden rubles, goes off to the marketplace. And first one he sees is a farmer. And the farmer says, sheep for sale. Who wants to buy my sheep? Anybody want to buy my sheep? My sheep makes a great fleece. Can make a coat out of his coat. Anybody want to buy my sheep? And Levi thinks, ooh, maybe by some miracle he'll want to sell his 1 sheep to me for 1 ruble. And maybe I'll be able to make a coat out of his wool of the sheep. And maybe I could start a whole company of clothing. And that will turn into 2,000 golden rubles. So he goes, oh, I'd love to buy the sheep. Yes, I want to buy the sheep. And the farmer says, great. It's 50 rubles. And Levi says, well, all I have is 1 ruble. Any chance you want 1 ruble? And the farmer thinks, bah, you fool. You really think I'll sell my sheep to you for 1 ruble? Absolutely not. And he goes off with the sheep. So, he continues down the marketplace, and he finds a fisherman. And the fisherman is calling out, fish for sale. Who wants to buy fish? I had a great catching, lots of fish in my net. Who wants fish for sale? And Levi thinks, oh, sometimes fish have jewels inside their stomach, right? Remember the story of Yosef Makir Shabbat I told you a few weeks ago, right? So fish are always swallowing stones and pearls. And sometimes inside the fish you could find precious gems. So he thinks, oh, maybe that's what the Rebbe meant. And he comes and he says, oh, yes, I'd like to buy your fish. How much is the fish? He says, well, the big one is 20 rubles. That's a great price. He says, oh, but do you have anything a little smaller? And he looks inside his fishing net. And he pulls out the big one. He goes, well, this one is like 20 rubles. But you know what? I'll sell you a smaller one for only 12 rubles. You want it? And Levi says, I'd love to buy it, but all I have is 1 ruble. Would you sell it for 1 ruble? The fisherman laughs at him. He says, what? 1 ruble? Oh, stop wasting my time. And he goes off. And Levi goes from one stall to the next. He tries to buy a bouquet of flowers. He thinks maybe if I start a whole gardening field and I could sell a whole thing of gardening, things for like making a beautiful garden, maybe I'll be able to make money out of that. And he goes, oh, flowers can't be that expensive. Oh, maybe I could buy a flower for 1 ruble. And he comes to the florist and he says, sir, can I buy any flowers, please? And she says, sure. I have really great prices. Because, well, how much is the least expensive one? And she says, well, least expensive is 7 rubles. And he says, oh, no, forget it. I'm not even going to offer my 1 ruble. And so then he goes from one stall to the next. And everybody, whatever they want to sell, even the least bit of expense is a lot of money. Oh, yeah, I want at least 3 rubles for my loaf of bread. Fresh bread, only 3 rubles. And Chaim tries to offer 1. The guy doesn't listen and doesn't want. And Chaim, after a whole day of going around the marketplace, is exhausted. And he thinks, I have to rest somewhere. I can't for this heat. Oh, there's a tavern. Tavern is like an inn, like a little restaurant kind of thing. He says, I don't have any money to buy anything except for my 1 precious ruble, but I'll sit down and rest. And he goes into the tavern, and he sits down, and the tavern's very crowded, and there's all the rich men, and they're all congregating together around one table, and it's drawing a big crowd. And these rich people are saying, oh, whoa, I have the best jewels. I traveled to Africa, and I got the best diamonds from there. Big deal. I traveled to India, and I got the best rubies. And one of the businessmen said, well, I was in Switzerland where they cut all the jewels and make them really pretty. And I've got the best jewels. And they're all pulling out their beautiful jewels. One after the other, they're showing their colorful gems. And they're showing all their pretty jewelry. And everybody's oohing and ahhing. And like, wow, amazing. Look at all this gorgeous stuff. Wow, look at all this beautiful jewels. And it's out of curiosity. Levi comes, he gets drawn by the crowd to come and look at all the gorgeous diamonds and all the beautiful jewels. And he looks with a lot of amazement at all of the things. When one of the rich men turns to him and says, hey, you interested in buying jewelry? You want to buy anything? And Levi says, well, my daughter's getting married. And he goes, oh, Mazel Tov, very happy for you. You want to buy something for her wedding? Well, I'd absolutely love to buy something for her wedding, but I really don't have very much. Not sure I have enough money to buy anything. And the rich man said, well, how much do you have? And Levi pulls out his 1 ruble. And he says, well, I have 1 ruble. Rich man is flabbergasted and highly insulted. And he goes, what? 1 ruble? Are you kidding me? You want to buy one of my jewels for only 1 ruble? And everybody starts standing around. They're stupefied. They're like, how could he do that? And they're all listening, and everybody's laughing at him and poking fun, and they think, oh, what a big joke. And they start to point fingers at him and giggling and holding their stomach. And he became the laughing stock of the entire tavern. Everyone was laughing at this, what they thought was a really foolish man who wanted to buy something for only 1 ruble. And he's looking here at a table filled with treasures worth thousands of rubles. Suddenly the rich man thought, he said, you know what? I have something I'll sell you for 1 ruble. And Levi remembers. He says, 1 minute. My Rebbe, the Maggid of Mezrich, said the first thing I can buy for 1 ruble, I should buy it. So he says, I'm listening. He says, you know what? You want to buy my share in Olam Haba? Now let me explain a little bit, children. Every time we do a mitzvah, Hashem takes that mitzvah and he puts it aside into a special treasure chest up in Shamayim. And when Mashiach comes, it's like a whole reward that all the mitzvot that we kept. Now we don't keep mitzvot because we want a big reward. We keep mitzvot because this is what Hashem wants from us. And but when we keep a mitzvah, we're making this world into a dwelling place for Hashem. But Hashem says, nonetheless, I'm still going to reward you for all the mitzvot you did when Mashiach comes, and it's called Olam Haba. Now this man wasn't very Torah observant, certainly wasn't very learned in any Torah, and he kind of used to always poke fun at things like Torah and Mashiach and Olam Haba. And he said, yeah, I'll sell you my share in Olam Haba for 1 ruble. So Levi says, okay, I'll buy it. We'll write up a contract. And everybody's laughing and they're giggling and they're pointing at him. And everyone's rolling that this Levi is buying a ridiculous, what they thought was a ridiculous thing, of the rich man's share in Olam Haba. So they write out a piece of paper. I just put a picture of the Bet HaMikdash. But they wrote out a piece of paper, the rich man's share in Olam Haba, selling it to Levi for 1 ruble. And they both signed. There were 2 kosher witnesses there, and the 2 kosher witnesses signed, and they switched. Levi gave the 1 coin to the rich man, and the rich man gave Levi the piece of paper, saying that he had sold him his share in Olam Haba. In the midst of all of this, everybody started rolling and laughing, and they thought it was the joke of the season. The rich man's wife walks in, and she's hearing everybody's laughing in the tavern. It's like a big joke happened. And she looks very happy. And she says, oh, what happened? Why is everybody laughing? What's the big joke? Tell me. I also want to know. And the rich man said, well, I became very rich today. And she said, really? What did you sell? He says, well, how much money did you make? He goes, I made 1 ruble. And she said, 1 ruble? Oh. He goes, yep, I sold something ridiculous for only 1 ruble. And she goes, really? What did you sell? And he said, you see that man, that religious Jew sitting in the corner? This one? I sold my share of Olam Haba to him for 1 ruble. Suddenly, her very happy expression changed. And she didn't look happy anymore. Instead, she began to get very angry. And she said, what? You sold your share of Olam Haba? Are you telling me you have no Olam Haba? And the rich man said, well, it was just a joke. We were having a big funny joke together. And she goes, I don't think it's a joke. I'm not living with a man who doesn't have a share in Olam Haba. I don't care how religious you are or how religious we are. I believe in Olam Haba. And I'm not staying a wife to a man who doesn't have a share in Olam Haba. And he goes, well, come on, it was just a joke. She goes, nope, unless you buy your share in Olam Haba back, I'm leaving you. So he goes, oh, this is ridiculous. Okay. So he comes to Levi, and he says, listen, mister, it was all a big joke. Come on, here's your ruble. Take your ruble back. Give me back my share in Olam Haba. My wife kind of thinks it's important that I have this share of Olam Haba. Give me back the contract, and you can have your ruble back. But Levi says, I'm not giving you back that share of Olam Haba. I bought it, and we have a legal contract. We have signed, and witnesses and everything. No way. I'm keeping it. So he goes, oh, come on, I'll give you 2 rubles. And he says, no, I'm not selling it for 2 rubles. So the rich man said, okay, listen, final offer. I'll give you 5 rubles. I mean, like 5 minutes ago, I sold it to you for 1 ruble. Now I'm giving you 5. You're making 5 times the amount of money you had. But Levi said, nope, I'm sorry. It's mine. I own it now. I'm not selling it to you. So the rich man goes back to his wife and he says, listen, really I tried. I offered him 5 times the amount of money that I bought it for. I sold it for him. Sorry, I sold it for $1, for a ruble, and now I'm giving him 5 and he still doesn't want. It's a waste of time. Let's go home. And she says, no way. You can go home. I'm packing up my suitcases and going back home to my mother. I'm not staying with you. I don't care how much money he wants. She gets really angry. And she says, I'm not staying a wife to a man without an olam haba. You did a foolish thing. I can't believe what a silly, foolish husband I have. How could you do such a thing? No way. Goodbye. Come, we're going to the Rav. You're going to write me a get, chas v'chalila, divorce, and I'm leaving you. And he goes, no, come back. I love you. Don't be ridiculous. We're married. And then I love you and I don't want to divorce you. Well, if you don't want to divorce me, then you better find a way to get back that contract you sold. So he goes, okay, come on. She goes, I'll come with you. She comes with him. And he starts to offer more and more money. And Levi says, I'm sorry, I'm not selling it. I bought it. She goes, come on, please. I can't live with a man who doesn't have a share in olam haba. Tell me how much you want. And he goes, well, my daughter's wedding is coming up. I need to marry her off. And I need 2,000 golden rubles. The rich man hears it. He became completely stupefied. And he goes, what? He couldn't even talk. He was beyond flabbergasted. And he goes, this is ridiculous. 15 minutes ago, I sold it for 1 ruble. Now he wants 2,000 golden rubles. No way. But the rich lady said, absolutely way. She stuck her hand into her husband's pocket. She pulled out a whole stash of gold coins. She counted out 2,000 golden rubles. And she gave it to Levi. She said, come on, now give me back that contract. So he said, okay. So Levi wrote the contract. This time Levi gives her back his share in olam haba. Sorry, I lost the paper. Anyway. And Levi is very happy. He says, Baruch Hashem. Oh, it's on the floor. Thank you, darling. He gives him back his share of olam haba. They switch again this time. Levi gives back the contract with the share to olam haba. And the rich man and his wife give him 2,000 golden rubles. And Levi is very happy and he says, thank you. And he says, really, I appreciate it. I want to tell you, my Rebbe, the Maggid of Mezrich, told me to buy the first thing I could buy for a ruble. He told me it would help me to marry off my daughter. And you've done that. Thank you so much. And he looks up. And the woman says, come on, we're going to go to the Maggid of Mezrich. You and I, she tells her husband, let's go talk to him. And they go together to the Maggid of Mezrich. And she holds up the paper that was the share of olam haba. The paper, the contract. And she says, Rebbe, today, my husband sold this piece of paper for 1 ruble. And I made him buy it back for 2,000 golden rubles. Can you tell me how much is it worth? And the Rebbe tells her, he says, when he sold it for the 1 ruble, it wasn't even worth 1 ruble. Your husband never bothered to help anybody else, never shared his money, never took care of the poor. So his share of olam haba wasn't even worth 1 ruble. He said, but now that you're helping a poor bride get married and you gave 2,000 golden rubles to help make a wedding, now his share of olam haba is worth much, much more than the 2,000 golden rubles that you gave Levi. And she was very happy and all lived happily ever after. But the point of the story is, children, that it has many lessons in the story. The first lesson we learn from it is that we follow the directives of a tzaddik. Levi listened without any questions to the Maggid of Mezrich and bought the first thing he could buy for a ruble. But the other very, very important lesson this story teaches us, children, is the great power of giving tzedaka and how precious tzedaka is in the eyes of Hashem. So may we... Okay, you're welcome, Yaladim. You're welcome.